Branle Gay contained in the Thesaurus Harmonicus by Jean-Baptiste Besard. He was active in the late 16th century in France, and he compiled this encyclopedic work that has so many pieces from different authors and anonymous authors, mainly dances, and it's a great source for dance lute music of the Renaissance, specifically French dance music. And Branle is a lively dance with catchy melody that was really popular in France at that time. And Branle Gay is a variation of the Branle that suggests even a more lively and upbeat dance. The Branle was danced in a chain of dancers dancing in circle, and we have to play it rather fast than slow, and it's often very fun to play because it features fast and lively melodies with a rather easy accompaniment. And this Branle is not exception. If we look at it, in fact, we can see that it's built with mainly two voices, a very moving, fast upper melody with a lot of 8 notes, and a steady, long notes accompaniment which features a pedal note for the entirety of the piece. And a pedal note is very interesting because it requires us to tune down our 6th string to the D. Now, if you're not familiar with this detuning, this might be the first time you do that. And we have to tune down a whole tone, our E string, to get a lower D. That is very resonant and full on the guitar. The easy part is that in the piece, we will never play fretted notes on the 6th string, so we only play the open D string, which is easy as an introduction to this tuning if you haven't done it before. Now, if we would play this piece on the lute, we would not need to detune any string. The lute, especially the Renaissance lute, had more strings than the guitar, and actually they weren't called strings but rather courses, because they were double strings per each course. But when we get to the 6th course, we would find a 7th course that was a lower string below the 6th one, and it was tuned a whole tone lower than the 6th string. So we would have this D as an open extra string. But if we play modern instruments, we do have to detune to the D because we don't have the 7th string. But as I said, this is going to be easy and actually very fun and will sound so full on the guitar. So detune your instrument and get this beautiful open D note on the 6th string. Now, let's look closely at the piece, and we can see that it's structured with 4 main phrases of 6 measures each. I'm going to play the first one so you can hear it, as it is a complete phrase. I'm going to play from measure 1 to 6, and this is what we hear. And here we start with a new idea. All these ideas feel like variations of the previous one. The piece is constantly built around the same notes and the same scale. And if we look at the scale that we use, we probably hear that it doesn't sound like a modern piece. It has something special about how it sounds. And this is because Renaissance music didn't use the modern harmony that was developed from the Baroque period after, and is the modern harmony we are used to hear. But it was rather modal harmony, using modes, ancient modes. And this piece, which is built around the D minor feel, it's all like sounding a little bit like D minor, it's actually not using a D minor scale. So if we think about D minor, we know that it has a B flat in the key signature. So the D minor scales would sound or D minor melodic. While in this piece, the scale that we hear is this. This mode is called Dorian mode, and it has the characteristics of being similar to a minor scale, but with the raised sixth. So we don't have B flats, but B naturals. And most of the time we don't have the raised seventh, the leading note, the C sharp going to D, but we hear a C natural. So let's listen to it again. So we have D, G, B natural, C natural, D. And it has a special sound. This is how the Dorian mode sounds like. But there are exceptions. None of these pieces are fully entirely written in a mode. Sometimes they actually use leading notes or different accidentals, and this piece has that. If we look at cadential moments, especially at the end of phrases, like in measure 11 and 12, we can see there are C sharps. So all of a sudden we hear the leading note, suggesting more of a modern D minor piece. And if we look at measure 22, we hear the first B flat in the piece. So again, there is where it sounds a little bit more like D minor, like we know it in modern music. But for the most, it sounds Dorian. So why don't you get familiar with this mode? You can even just play the notes of it. So you take D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And you can play the scale back and forth and even improvise a little on it. So you get familiar with these modal sound. Now, when you start to learn this piece, you might want to separate the voices first and start with learning the upper melody so you can make a clear plan for your right hand fingering. I think it is crucial in this piece to make sure that you write out your right hand fingering and you stick to it without changing it. There's a risk here to repeat fingers and have odd string crossings here and there. So it's really important to have a clear plan for the right hand fingering. Now I put some suggestions in the piece, but you don't have to follow them. The most important thing is for you not to try to repeat fingers, but always alternate them. So write out your fingering. Now I have put a suggestion in measure 2 and 3 specifically, but also in measure 9 through 12, and then towards the end again. And in measure 2, for example, we play a block chord first with P, I, and M. So we need to repeat one finger right after. I suggest to repeat the M finger, but you could repeat the I. The most important thing is that you don't repeat fingers after that, but you stick to clear alternation. So my suggestion in measure 2 and 3 is to play M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I, M, I. This is because it avoids most string crossing, odd string crossing over there. And then the other suggestion that I have for you in measure 11 and 12 is instead to use the thumb on the main melody. While we use I and M most of the time, I would use the thumb when we first play the C sharp on the 5th string. And that's because it will make the string crossing easier and will make the flow easier as well. So let's try that measure together, and I'm going to show very slowly. We are in measure 11 and we start with M, I, P for the C sharp, I, M, I, M, I. So these is the only instance, together with the ending, measure 23, that I suggest using the thumb on the main melody. For the rest of the piece, the thumb is busy playing the open D string, the pedal note that we have to play at the beginning of each measure. So start with learning the upper melody, make a clear plan for your right hand, and then put together the bass line and the melody. Now the time signature in this piece is 3/4, so it's a feel in 3, but what I suggest to do is, instead of feeling it in 3, to feel it in 1. What does that mean? It means that we want to give a clear accent at the beginning of the measure, but not hearing 3 accents like 1, 2, 3, but rather 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This really helps with the dance feel. So it would be easy for dancers to dance while we play. So feel it in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let me play for you the first phrase again and try to follow the accents at the beginning of the measure. So here we go. 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, 1. And no matter how fast you go, try to feel it in 1, because it really gives a strong dance feel to it. So you can work with the metronome, that's really helpful, and you can set it with a stronger accent on the first beat if you have that feature on your metronome app or your metronome device. And so you might want a different sound for the first click, pam, and different sounds for the up beats. So it helps to know when to put the accent. But also the fact that we play with the thumb a long pedal note at the beginning of each measure, that helps also with feeling the accent and putting the accent on the right place. In terms of rhythm, there are a couple more things you want to be aware of and practice in isolation. The first thing is ties. We have a few ties, and especially we see them in measure 6 and 7 and 8. And they are on the top line. So we have ties that go across measures. So you want to make sure that you practice these beats with the metronome, so you really know when to start with the upbeat on your melody line. If I play measure 6 through 8, you can hear those ties. Here we go. Tie, tie. And I really suggest to use a metronome with subdivision so you hear all the beats. Even if you need, you could put the metronome setting it on 8 notes if it helps to feel really when to play the upbeat next. So this is a spot that you want to try in isolation. And the other one is measure 13, where we have the only daughter rhythm of the piece. Because it is the only daughter rhythm of the piece, we really want to emphasize it. So again, you might want to try that with the metronome. You want to try the measure with the daughter rhythm and then the next one together. So you make sure that the first sounds like a clear daughter rhythm, 1, 2, 3, and this second measure after that, 1, 2, 3. It's without daughter rhythm. So this is another spot to try in isolation, and make sure you have it really solid before you put it in context. But other than that, this piece is really fun to play. Just practice it first with melody line and then the bass line. Then start slow. Don't try to speed up from the beginning. Start slow, make a good plan for your right hand fingering, and then little by little bring it up to speed. And then it doesn't matter how fast you play it. You have to make sure you can control it from beginning till end. So use a speed that is available to you, that you can really play the whole piece in control. But make sure to always have that feel in 1 instead of in 3. So this is Branle Gay, and have fun with it.